Hi, I'm delighted to be here with my good friend Bruno Magdich.
Hi, Rishi.
Good to see you. Now, you're a communication specialist, trainer, coach, background as a musician, actor.
Yes.
I was really, we were having a quick chat before my workshop, a little bit about communication, being authentic and so on. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that.
Okay.
Because you've got a lot of experience in
right.
that. I mean, tell us in your own words, what is it that you do, what you help people to do?
What I do? Okay, in a nutshell, I help people to communicate more confidently and to make more of an impact. I think that's it, simply.
Right.
You know, the key thing, well, one of the big challenges, I think, with communication is people perhaps don't feel as secure in their message. They perhaps feel not as confident as they could be, even though they might have great content.
Right.
So often they'll hold back in terms of how they communicate the message, and sometimes that message doesn't land as strongly and as confidently as it might do if they had a little bit of coaching and training. And actually, you'll know this from our background, that the thing that I always work with is what works about you. That's where we start. What do you already do brilliantly? And it's amazing, people are not aware of their strengths as communicators.
So true. I think that's fascinating, isn't it? And when it comes to, say, business, this is absolutely key, isn't it? Yeah. And a lot of money is spent on coaching, courses, presentation, all the rest of it, to help people with that. And I guess if people are running their own business, how they come across themselves is going to be absolutely key to whether they get a piece of business or not, isn't it?
Totally.
In your own journey, how important has communication and being authentically yourself been? And how have you? I know it's a very big question.
Yes.
But how did you find that yourself? Because I know it's something that you've spent a lot of time, a journey that you've spent a lot of time on. How did you find yourself? How did you communicate yourself? How did you find what you wanted to authentically do?
Yeah, well, great. I mean, communication has been everything for me. And I've not always been a great communicator, but I think what I've always had, for what basically out of ignorance and self-delusion, is passion for whatever it is that I've been interested in. And while I've not always been as articulate as I could have been in my history, particularly as a teenager.
Because you left school, I mean, this is what fascinates me.
Yes.
You're telling me you left school at 15, you did a few jobs, you then went to a job centre saying, what do I want to do next? Somebody said you should be a hairdresser, you found yourself going for a job at Fidel Sassoon, and then things changed. But you've gone on a journey which has led you into acting, a performance, music, and running a very, very successful communications business.
Yes.
How on earth? How did that happen? You said you talked about the passion.
Yes, well, it's the desire, the passion to communicate what's important for me, my ideas and my beliefs. This is the bottom line for me. This has always been the way. How can I communicate what's important for me, what I believe, and my ideas about the world? And so whether I did it cutting someone's hair, or whether I did it singing a song, or on the stage as an actor, or as a communication skills consultant, really was irrelevant. The abiding thing, the authentic aspect of me, was the passion to communicate.
So that was always
to
there?
Connect.
Was that was always there?
It was always there, but I wasn't confident as a child to communicate. I was quite, strangely, introverted in my own world quite a lot. And as I grew older and became a teenager, I was very shy. Although I was full of energy as a kid, you know, I was quite shy, not confident in myself. But I knew I had ideas. They weren't great ideas, but I had ideas that I wanted to share, and I just loved talking to people about what do you think, you know, what do they think? This is what I think, and sharing our beliefs and ideas, and that was the.
So how then? I mean, how then? Because I'm just thinking about people who are watching this.
Yes.
How do you help? I know you do this every day. How do you help somebody who is feeling that they're not authentic, or they don't know what their strengths are? Or they feel as though they're disingenuous and they don't feel that confident with that message. How do you help them on that journey? Because lots of people, for example, and you've been your own boss, you are your own boss, you talked about running your own boss. Also, you were your own boss first of all many years ago. Is that right?
I had my first business when I was around Well, actually, I've always worked for myself, you know, but my first big business that had actual shops and bricks and mortar was when I was about 23.
Yeah. And what was the nature of that business?
Well, it was hair and beauty,
yeah.
So, but it only lasted, well, it was very successful for a short period of time, and I sold everything by the time I was 29. Right. So it was only 6 years, really, because I quickly realised that I had achieved a level of success. I had all those things that I thought that I wanted, the material things, and I was deeply unhappy. Right. I was just not happy.
And you told me before when we were outside, you said that somebody told you something very quite powerful, that the thing is you said, stop chasing success.
That was early on,
How did they word that? Tell us that word.
Well, it was around, I'd started to expand the business, and actually in the business's expansion, it ended up not being as successful. It wasn't as sustainable. It had got bigger, but in fact not better. So because that you went in the other shops. Because I weren't in the other, that's right.
It's you. Because this is the thing that I think is fascinating. Lots of people feel as though, well, I'm not good enough, but I think what you're saying is, and what I'm saying is that you are absolutely the key to what works if you allow it to be. And that was literally the case for you in those stores.
Yes, and it was the wrong job. It was the wrong career, actually, at that time. Right. And I mean, the story really is I went to see Les Miserables when I was very miserable. A friend of mine said, come to the theatre, I want to cheer you up, we're going to see Les Mis. And I was like, oh, please, no. And actually, we went to the theatre, I watched this show, and I thought, what the hell is this all about? And within 5 minutes of the show opening, I was sobbing. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I am so moved by what I'm experiencing and witnessing.
I'm presuming that was the birth of the sing and the act.
Totally. I mean, that was the moment where I went, I'm going to sell my business and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to be in Les Miserables. I'm going to cut to shot 10 years later, there I was on the stage.
But you see, that's extraordinary. You know, Tom, you know, it's extraordinary speaking to you, and I'm going to have to interview you again. I just want to ask you a couple of questions before we close.
Yeah.
So there's this thing about authenticity, there's this thing about being passionate, and that's helped you from one thing to the other. You embraced the hairdressing and the beauty stuff, you then embraced the acting thingy from a performance, then you find yourself on stage and so on. And now you're running a very, very successful international business and 4D human being. How did you find that last bit, which was the bit about you being a communications consultant?
Very good. Well, I spent 8 years as a working actor, mainly on the stage in London's West End, rather grim. Sorry. But, you know, it was an interesting journey for me, but of course I realised that wasn't it either. You know, and actually the last.
And where was that theme? Was it somewhere? Was it somewhere thingy? Because I
can remember exactly where it was.
Right.
I was in Mamma Mia, the original company of Mamma Mia, and I was on stage in the closing number, which I think was Dancing Queen, waving my hands in the air and going, do you know what? This is not it. This is not it. I can't do this anymore. And that was the end of it. So what I started to do was I started to do corporate entertainment. So we'd work for corporates, and I'd host events, and I'd perform songs from the shows, and I'd, you know, general entertaining them with anything that I could, magic tricks, whatever it was required. Well, you know, using all my talents really that I had developed over the years for communication. And somebody said to me, one of my clients said, great, you know, after one evening, he said, great, that was a good time, people seem to like you. He said, you know what, he said, I wish I could do what you do up there.
And that was the birthplace.
And I went, oh, okay. And that was the beginning. And I said, well, of course you can. I mean, it just takes a little bit of practice.
But, you know, that's amazing. You know, what I'm getting from you is two things. You've got to this authenticity, and then going on that path. Can you, just before we close, because we're going to have to let the doors in open and let people in, but I just want you to just share two things. Any tips on how does somebody actually find what their authentic business is? I know that, or their authentic calling. Could you just give me a couple of tips in terms of that? And then I want you to just share one or two very quick tips about how you can communicate very authentically.
Yes, good. So the first thing is you have to ask yourself this. If my life was to end tomorrow and somebody would find me, what people write about you, what they do is the headline is, will be the job that you're doing at the time. So if you're a bus driver, it will be bus driver from Clapton dies in his sleep. You know, if you're a waiter, you know, waiter found dead in Walthamstow High Street. So first thing to say is ask yourself this question. If I was to die tomorrow, what do I want my headline in the paper to be? What is the headline? And if you think, I don't want that to be my last headline, I don't want people to remember me for doing that, then stop immediately and ask yourself, what do you want the headline to be?
Right, and then on the communication bit, and I'm going to have to ask you, it was wonderful, no, it's wonderful. And on the communicating bit, because people struggle with this, and I'm keen to do a separate interview about this, how people could, can you give us the first, because this has been your stock and trade and everything, and for me it's also so key. So what's the first thing that somebody's got to do? They're starting a business, or they're growing a business, or they're in any kind of company, and we see all the time where people are awful at it, just not themselves. Give us just one or two very quick tips.
Ask yourself, what is it that you do that nobody else does or has? And even if you must find that, I think, or certainly believe that there is something that you do that you can offer that nobody else does.
Make people laugh, or combine this and that, or be an expert on these particular matrix, or whatever it might be.
It doesn't have to be huge. And then connect with that one thing so passionately that every time you speak about it, people just see it. They see it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I just love that. Well, Tom, we're going to have to leave it there. We're going to have to let people in, but I'm very keen to, if you would, to interview you again a little bit more about this journey, about people communicating very authentically, because I know in your case also, in terms of your own sole trader journey, that it's been that, and you were saying that, it's been that authenticity that has led to business. And lots of people don't necessarily believe that there's real practical benefits, job opportunities, career opportunities, money, clientele that can come from that. But I get the feeling from you that there absolutely has been and that absolutely can be.
Yes, become the thing you believe in. That's it. Become the thing you believe in.
Oh, well, wonderful. Tom, it's been such a pleasure. I'm going to leave you to smile as I turn off the camera. And I hope you enjoyed the workshops. I'm so glad that you're here. I know you're going to add so much magic to it. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.